Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to speak to the question with respect to scientists, the importance of science to the fishery. And clearly what is happening as a result of the intervention by this government with respect to the Fisheries Act and what they refer to as a modernization of the fishery, we're seeing so little respect being given to science, being given to the scientists who play such an important role into ensuring the sustainability of our natural resource. And whether it's dealing with the cod stocks or any species of fishery for that matter, science is so important to ensuring, again, that when we put quotas in place that we know exactly what we're doing, it's based on science. Any decisions that we make with respect to the fishery is based on science, as well as input, of course, from those who engage in the fishery, whether it's those in the fish processing side or in the harvesting side. But what we're finding from this government is that there seems to be so little appreciation for science and the influence of science in terms of the health of the fish stocks themselves. But then again, when you look at the fish habitats and what's being said today by former conservative ministers, fisheries ministers, is that this just doesn't make sense, what's happening here with changes to fish habitats. In fact, we've got more than 600 Canadian scientists, including some of the country's leading experts in environmental protection and animal research, and they're asking the Prime Minister to abandon plans to remove habitat protections from the Federal Fisheries Act. This is serious, Mr. Speaker, when you have scientists who know only too well how important this is, to have to go to this extreme, to plead with the Prime Minister not to go down this path. These are the people who have the knowledge, they have the expertise. Those of us who serve in these positions, including the Prime Minister and including ministers of the Crown and bureaucrats, we're not on the front lines in terms of what happens in the fishery. It is the scientists who we rely on because, of course, they spend years researching these topics. It is the fishers and those who process and harvest the fishery who know and have the knowledge that is necessary to ensure a sustainable fishery, but as well to ensuring that we do what is right in terms of fish habitats. In a letter to the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, these scientists say changing the law would be a most unwise action that would jeopardize many important fish stocks and the lakes, estuaries, and rivers that support them. And they're encouraging, in fact, they're imploring the Prime Minister to abandon this initiative as it is currently drafted. This is not coming from me, Mr. Speaker. This is not coming from an MP for random Buren St. George's, where my communities are primarily rural communities who depend very heavily on the fishery to ensure that they have a livelihood, that they can provide for their families. This is coming from scientists. These are people who have devoted their lives, this is their area of expertise, to looking into these subject areas, and they're looking at what the government is proposing here with respect to the Fisheries Act. And they're saying it is wrong. It is so wrong. And what I'm asking the government to do is to listen to those scientists, to recognize how important it is that we listen to people with the expertise and the knowledge, based on their experience, based on their research, that this is the wrong thing to do. People have answers, Mr. Speaker. The government doesn't have all the answers. The opposition doesn't have all the answers. But I can tell you that people who spend their lives researching these topics do so seriously, and they know that this is wrong. They're saying this is wrong, and we're asking on their behalf for the government to take their request seriously. My colleague for his comments, because, you know, listening to him read his text, it certainly would appear to me, and I'm sure to those listening, that he genuinely believes in what he is saying and that he thinks is accurate. The problem I have is that when he says he's prepared and the government is prepared to listen to scientists, let me repeat again, more than 600 Canadian scientists, including some of the country's leading experts in environmental protection and animal research, have said this is wrong. It is wrong to go down this path. In fact, David Schindler, who is a professor of ecology at the University of Alberta, the lead author of the letter, has said in a news release, it is the explicit role of the government to find the balance between protecting this habitat and encouraging sustainable economic growth, not to pit them against one another. My question to the honourable member is, how can he genuinely stand there and say that this government is listening to scientists when we have 600 scientists, 600 leading experts who are saying it is wrong what the government is planning to do? They're saying, please don't go down this path. They broke it open so that we know this is happening. And now what they're saying is, will the government listen? They've been doing the research. They know what's important. Just...
Sorry, the time has expired. The time for questions.